You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
We're excited to kick off our first ever road tour, visiting some of the top shops across the country. Come along as we give you a behind-the-scenes tour of some of the most successful lawn care, landscaping, and hardscaping operations and facilities and see how their businesses operate. This shop tour is brought to you by our great friends at Steel, Equipment Defender, Cujo Yardware, and Yardbook. We know professionals like you trust and rely on the tools and equipment to make your business a success. And our tour partners mean business. Gear up, lock up, lace up, and line up your business for success with our 2022 Shop Tour sponsors. We'll be releasing new podcasts and YouTube videos every Monday for 8 weeks as we take you across the country on this incredible tour. Check out the full video tours on YouTube at Brian's Lawn Maintenance and catch the podcast every Monday. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging with you guys. And today, we're really excited about wrapping up this shop tour series here. Second to last, coming through here. We're coming in hot. We got none other than Caleb and Brittany Auman with Auman Landscaping. So here's the deal. We've got Caleb Auman sitting down here for about a 45-minute conversation as he talks about just where their business is at right now, and then all the updates, obviously, with the shop and the shop tour. And I'm telling you what, this was a special treat for them to open this place up. Now, here's the thing. The shop is not totally done. However, they did have the shell up, all the concrete poured, and they're going to be framing and putting the offices in here over the next couple of weeks and months. And so here's the deal. We wanted to do a video that was in a podcast interview that was kind of like an update as they're going through the whole process. Now, I think Caleb is going to mention this in the actual podcast and on the YouTube video. But if he doesn't, here's the thing. You guys can put this date in your calendar. It's a public announcement. Then they are going to open up the whole place on October 1st for a grand opening. So if you guys want to come on down and check out their shop in its entirety, and we'll probably shoot an update YouTube video by then, it's going to be a really, really good time. So it'll be just before Equip Expo and Launchpreneur Academy Live. So if you guys are anywhere in Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, or anywhere in the Midwest, and you guys want to swing on down to Auman HQ, make sure you guys stay tuned to see the shop in its entirety as it gets finished and they open this place up to the public. It's going to be a really good time. So here's what we're going to do really quick. We want to say a quick show thank you to the show sponsors and the tour sponsors, Cujo Yardware, Equipment Defender, Steel, and Yardbook, for making this whole tour happen. So if you guys need new trimmers and blowers, maybe look at Steel, a good CRM, maybe check out Yardbook, some trailer racks or lawn care shoes, check out Equipment Defender or Cujo. We always appreciate those guys and supporting the tour, the show, and making these kind of opportunities available. So, all right, guys, well, without further ado, make sure you guys check out the correlating YouTube video later tonight with Caleb and Brittany Auman. They did a 30-minute walkthrough of this whole shop, but let's do a little transition here. We'll kick it over to Marty, and then before you know it, we're going to take it away and hear a little bit more from Caleb Auman and the exciting things that they have going on here at Auman HQ. All right, guys, we'll catch up with you here soon.
Just 3 words tell you everything you need to know. They tell you why we employ more than 2,000 workers at our factory in Virginia Beach, and why over 10,000 local steel dealers are putting battery power in the hands of Americans. Just 3 words. Made in America. Real steel. Find yours at steelusa.com. The majority of steel products sold in America are made in America of U.S. and foreign materials. Batteries and chargers are sourced internationally.
Hey guys, Brian here. I get asked all the time, what's the best work shoe or boots for our industry? As some of you probably know, I absolutely love wearing the Cujo Yardware. A few years ago, I was wondering why there isn't some sort of light, functional shoe for the lawn care industry. Literally a couple weeks later, I get a message from this new company, Cujo Yardware, letting me know about the new shoe they created for lawn care. I couldn't believe it, so I tested them out for the first year and have been wearing them ever since. Me and my guys love the Cujos because they are light, comfortable, they keep our feet dry and have a great grip, and they're breathable. Plus, they're a family-owned company. Sean and Kelsey are a brother-sister team that seriously care about offering the best products for our industry. They started with the yard shoes, came out with the X1 composite toe boots, and are launching a new slip-on shoe this year. Check them out at Cujo.com. That's Kujo.com. And don't forget to use Brian's 10 to save 10%. All right, guys, we're going to jump right on into it. We've got none other than the man, the kid contractor himself, Caleb Auman. What's up, brother?
Hey, Brian. What's going on, man?
Doing good, brother. We're actually shooting this podcast down here in beautiful Fairfield County, Ohio. We just got done with the shop tour, which, by the way, guys, we've been doing this about 8 weeks now. This is actually our wrap-up shop tour video, and then also the wrap-up shop podcast that we've been doing with the different folks across the country, and it has just been really, really cool to see this place in person. So we're going to be talking a little bit more about the shop, the build, maybe some numbers, whatever Caleb wants to reveal, but this thing is absolutely awesome, and it's in person. It looks bigger than it is. It's cooler than it is. It's more grandiose than it is, and I'm sure you've already, it's probably hit you 100 times, like, holy cow, it's actually happening. But how's the shop going for you guys right now, man? That's like crazy. Like, you got to be excited about it, brother.
Yeah, man. We absolutely are, Brian. And I really look forward to, aside from, just having the building or the shop of our dreams I've been working my whole career to build.
Sure.
Which frankly, I'm 10 years behind where I should be, due to, just some bad business in the beginning of my, kid contractor career, let's say, right? But to finally get in there, what I'm so excited for is to actually get in there and get operating.
Yeah.
And for the reasons of, like, I'm really anxious to see, but I know it's going to be the case of, like, see the efficiencies that we've been missing out on in our current facility as a small rented facility that we've way outgrown.
Yep.
And we can't have the things that we need, like fuel on site and electric and water and just all this stuff. And so to see those things get utilized and see our efficiencies immediately uptick and then work out, like, what is the most efficient setup for the whole place is just, like, I'm incredibly excited for that. Just to see things, actually day one operations out of there is just going to be really cool.
And this just hit me. I got to say it while I had this thought. You were talking about at the shop how there's times we'll get into all the numbers and the sizes and all that mess here in a quick second. We got Caleb for about a half hour. The Brittany and then my wife Liz, they're playing defense on the kids. So shout out to them.
yeah, they're outnumbered at the moment.
Yeah, it's like they're playing zone for sure. But it was something you said at the shop was. Brian, like, the interesting thing here about construction is, like, there'll be this gangbusters, like, 2-week period where, like, everything will happen, and then it'll almost be like this lull, and nothing happens for a week or two. And then there's, like, this other next phase, and then they'll put in all the concrete work, and it's just, like, all this moving part and this wow factor, and it ebbs and flows. And I'm thinking to myself, man, like, what even, like, of a parallel path or of an analogy it could be for our own businesses. Like, right now, like, Auman Landscape's been, like, there's days and weeks and months and years where things are just growing like crazy and moving all about. And then there's also, like, it's kind of flat or a lull or just kind of even. It's just like the regular same old. And then you're, like, waiting for that next exciting phase. And it's almost like in your story, this is like that next little Mario Kart turbo booster jump arrow where you're about to jump off the rainbow road here and, like, launch into the next phase. And I'm thinking to myself, man, like, once the shop is done, you have a launching pad to literally do almost anything you want to do. You could take it from $1 million company to, you could probably run a $3 to $5 million company out of that place, no problem, if you wanted to go that big. And I think you've always talked about it on your podcast, big fan. You guys want to go to maybe a $2 million company here in the next couple of years, but I don't know. Do you ever think about that analogy? Like, you're talking about on the construction, there's things that, like, a lot's happening, then nothing's happening. A lot's happening, then nothing. And maybe it's even for your guys' own business. Like, you hit a level and it's like, we'll just maintain and we're happy with it. But then once you get the shop, dude, it's going to open up all kinds of things for you guys.
Without a doubt, and in so many ways, as far as, exposure for the company, because it's been a lot of great exposure for us locally. It sounds pretentious maybe, but a lot of buzz about this building going up in a field in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, who's building that? And so it's been good for exposure for our company.
If you build it.
Yeah, there's an argument to be made for that, man.
The older you get, the more you realize that kind of stuff. You're
Absolutely. Like, and I mean, even just a few random people, have just strolled in, and I don't have any intentions of being a retail front or even wholesale of any kind. But again, like the community, a couple community members have stopped by and said, hey, we didn't know, we'd heard your landscape company were considering a project. And it's like right there immediately, like, man, just that exposure is marketing in its own right. And we're building a nice building, and it's going to be a really nice property when we're done.
Right.
And so, like, that visual aid, for the company itself will be great for us, taking us to this year. We wanted to go because we hover around $1 million in revenue here for the past couple of years, whatever. And I've wanted to get to about $2 million, I think. And my goal is to hit that this year. We had one of our key people move on to self-employment, in the fall of last year. And then going into this year, I still had intention of doubling. And with John, out of the picture now, and then this build consuming so much time, this year is going to be, we're just going to try to survive the year. Like the company's fine, but like we're not going to try to grow. I'm going to try to stay married this year. Going through a build is like crazy. And, but what this opens doors for us in so many regards is, you're right. It's going to be one of those things of, like to your point, the project, in like on a hardscape project or even a cleanup, there's a part of the cleanup, let's say a leaf cleanup or whatever. It's like, holy crap, we just moved like 30 yards of leaves, off the property. And in like a couple hours, that looks awesome. But we're going to spend the next 4 hours, like cleaning out the shrubs and just doing the tedious little stuff. It looks like we're not doing anything for the rest of the freaking day.
Yep.
And the same with a building project or construction or landscaping project of like, man, first few hours of demo, like, holy cow, we're smoking this thing. And then all the tedious little detail work looks like we haven't got anything done for hours. And this year for our business, same kind of thing. Like, last year was awesome. We had a great year last year, lots of production, all that stuff. And a lot of visual aid and, dollar growth and all that stuff. And then this year, while we're still working as much and just as hard, there's not visually on paper going to be a lot of company growth, let's say.
Excitement,
But yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, there's definitely an aspect of that. But then next year, man, it's going to, again, be a big pop of, hopefully running a couple more crews out of there and some big production goals and moving forward with the company.
I love it, man. One thing I was just thinking about out loud, this is something that, and I don't know if you guys have ever thought about this, just a crazy another thought that I had while I'm here on this thought was, so Liz and I one day, like, we want to build, this sounds kind of weird, but like some kind of barn / on a farm that, you could have like an influencer spot, like ladies could take not even an influencer thing, but just like for women or people or couples that take photos at like a farm with, you pick sunflowers, right? And that kind of stuff. You guys have been to maybe at like a cider mill or something like that. And then have like a beautiful barn and maybe one day do like weddings or events out of that. And, no food on site, like you have to cater all that in. But it'd be really cool to have this like, $800,000, $1 million property with like this really nice barn and all this other stuff going on. And one thing that Liz said, she goes, and it can be a place for the community. She said like once a year or a couple times a year or monthly, we could have like on-site movie night where we just get some big, 40 by 30 projectored screen, on some huge, kind of drive-in thing, but just set up like blankets or chairs for like the community. And I'm thinking to myself, like, if you guys ever wanted to open up to the community, you could always do like the annual like Auman movie night for the company. Just set like 80 chairs out there and watch I don't know, Lion King 12 or whatever is coming up by then. But you could always like participate in so many different ways with a building like that for the community, or put some basketball drop down hoops or something like that. Or you guys can do almost anything that place. Not that it's going to be a whole rec center, you're running your business out of it, but there's tons of options like that. You guys ever consider anything like that?
Yeah, the PR up, because we're just outside of Carroll, Ohio by a stone's throw. Not me throwing, but my foreman Bo, who could launch a ball a mile, Mr. Bo maybe by stone's throws measurement. The PR opportunities for this place are incredible, and I hadn't thought of exactly that, but we have had intentions from the beginning of partnering with, the high school's just down the road, and so we've had intentions from the get of partnering with the Future Business Leaders Club, the FFA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, you name it, the organization, the sports boosters, the music boosters, any of that kind of stuff. And the main thing with what was it, the work program where you could leave school early and go to work?
Yeah, co-op and all that.
Yeah, so
that's what we call it.
We definitely plan on doing stuff with those, like the FFA, Future Business Leaders Club. And then the work, I can't remember what it was. I want to say work release, but that's a prison. That's
maybe
a prison
second
option.
Chance thing. They drop off a bus of people at Auman.
Right, there we go.
Just make sure they don't take some of your guys back.
Yeah, really, right? Yeah,
to distinguish who's who.
Yeah, really. That's some days I wonder, but so yeah, we definitely plan on partnering with the community in that regard. Britt wants to do, some of those things are so big now, like a wine and roses night where like a group of ladies, you can host a class in the evening of, a glass of wine and learn how to arrange a flower, bouquet or something.
That's cool. That's cool.
And so Britt wants to do a lot of stuff like that. And so we definitely have intentions of doing stuff like that. back to like the FFA and Future Business Leaders Club and stuff like that. Like Britt wants to have like a roadside stand, farmers market, Magnolia wannabe kind of thing. Just a little thing. But we partner with kids from the school and hopefully if they are interested in business or want to learn like retail or whatever, we partner with them and work with them on this roadside stand thing and, put some proceeds to the school itself or whatever they're trying to raise money for at the time. So yeah, we've got a lot of things like that. That'll be great for PR and part of us truly wanting to be an asset to the community, which is what when we were applying for commercial zoning for the land.
That was the pitch.
Was one of it was like we want to be an asset to the community, not just another business running it.
You guys could, the sky's the limit. You could sell wreaths out of there. You could sell Christmas trees, roadside Christmas trees.
Britt almost did Christmas trees last year. But
oh, really?
But it's getting a hold of Christmas trees is actually really challenging. You've got to have an in, I guess. Like you've got to know, you got to put
farmers.
it in. That's what's crazy. Yeah. So Britt looked into that and through the power of Instagram, a lady that she buys, she does the tree farm thing. She's like, okay, here's who you need to talk to, but you got to buy the trees like 8 months up front, all money up front.
Whoa.
And you got to buy X amount of trees and stuff. And it's like, holy smoke, So that's like its own little world, So, but Britt wants to do some crazy stuff like that. I don't have a lot of interest in that, but I want to stay married too. So.
I was gonna say that. However, when you're running a mortgage and paying $1 million for a building or whatever you guys are paying,
not $1 million, no, a lot of sweat equity in there, Brian.
But it's just funny because like Liz all the time was like, well, we need when we build our house, it's gonna be expensive, and she's like, well, we can get chickens and sell them at the end of the driveway, a little carton of eggs. And I said, well, how much is a carton of eggs? And she's like, $2 to $4. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. That's a waste of time. And then,
well, with inflation though, you get the mortgage set. When eggs are like $300 a dozen, and your mortgage is just still X, right? There you go.
A chicken costs $1,500 from Tractor Supply.
You got to take that wheelbarrow cash, to buy a loaf of bread, kind of thing.
Oh, but then it's funny.
I digress though.
But this is exactly the point, like you just said. And then all of a sudden, I start looking at the cost of the mortgage and the loan, and I'm like, you know what? Eggs roadside sounds like a great idea. I'm like, take the 2 divided by like, a couple $1,000 a month. I'm like, you know what? We have to sell like 800 dozens a week.
Next thing you know, there's a petting zoo with goats out there, and the slide thing, and then the air blowing dancing man thing.
We're gonna do like home tours, like $10, and you come in Saturday 10 to 2. So I was gonna say like the Christmas tree thing. You're like, oh, that's hogwash until you're like, Caleb's Christmas tree farm.
Oh God, no! It's gonna look like a freaking Hallmark movie set out there at some point. I'm afraid.
Well, I'm excited for you guys. Like you said, this is I've been following along, and so many of you guys, if you're not following Caleb and Brittany on Instagram, make sure you guys do before the show's over, because they've been doing a really good job documenting it both on the Instagram feed and of course on stories every day. But here, let's back up really quick, because some folks, they know you guys, but show's growing like crazy. We actually passed 100,000 downloads just this last month.
That's incredible.
Which is wild. We're trying to catch up to Paul Jameson. I think if we had both of our shows together,
really.
we might have a chance. But so a lot of new listeners to the show, so not everybody knows you guys. But give them the 2 minutes of who Auman Landscape is really quick for me, just the highlight reel. But then talk to me about the building for the next 5 or 10 minutes.
Sure.
It's really cool. We're having fun. We're yucking it up. But man, seeing this thing in person, you can just tell it's a dream come true for you guys. But not only that, it's building my dream. It's building a lot of guys' dreams out there. I mean, I would say not everybody wants to build a big business and a big company and a big HQ, but there's a lot of people that do. And for people that want to go to that next level, like, you guys are really building the dream.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah, well, it's something I want to really make sure, and that's the thing with Instagram especially, or the social media in general or whatever, like, to bring it back, we're an overnight success 20 years later, right? And, really, if I even were to say, give more credit where it's due, an overnight success 10 years later, since my wife and I have been married and we've been rebuilding the first company I crashed, I managed to do pretty good on my own crashing. But, with my wife, Britt, my wife, she's been instrumental in when we restarted the company, and this has been our dream for 10 years now, to build a facility or to end up in a facility, let's say, right?
Yeah.
So we're Auman Landscape. We're a landscape design build company based in beautiful Fairfield County here. It's an homage to Paul here, because he always gives me grief about calling it beautiful Fairfield County. So, which it is beautiful, by the way.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So, we're landscape design build. So, primarily residential hardscape construction, retaining walls, pavers, and then we do some drainage work, some commercial drainage repair work, stuff like that for some of the big box stores that . And then we have kind of a social media thing on the side that we do that's not so much a side gig anymore.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the quick thing of what we do. But we really take hardscape construction very seriously, and we really are big on trying to mechanize and make things as efficient as we can afford to make them at the moment.
Yeah.
And so that's always just reinvesting into the company and, adding machines and upgrading machines and adding tools and all this stuff. So that's our philosophy there, right? We want to make the hard work easier, easy as we can make it.
Let me ask you really quick. For guys that maybe they're mowing grass all day, most of our audience is, owner operators and maintenance companies. When you talk about patios, what's the stuff you guys specialize in? Because I'm on Instagram, I see a 15 by 15 little slab patio, whatever you guys call it, or paper patio. And then I see $200,000 outdoor living spaces. No right or wrong answer, but what's your bread and butter? What do you guys do?
The niche we're in at the moment, at least on the hardscape space, and I want to get into larger projects, but we're having, and this is a whole nother discussion that's a whole nother podcast, probably an hour-long podcast discussion. But we do a lot of $20,000 hardscape projects, just a bunch of them. We're in this niche, and I want to break out of that and get more to where, we do, a couple times a year, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 jobs. But consistently, we're doing like $20,000 landscape or hardscape projects. And
what can I get for $20,000 these days? What does that mean?
What 20K will get you is a really nice, probably 500 square foot patio, set of steps down out of there, fire pit area, and landscape remediation around it. So a really nice space for bare minimum for in Fairfield County at the moment with us. 10,000 is about the bare minimum you need to get at least a decent little 16 by 16 patio with a little set of stairs coming out of the house.
Okay.
But if we're gonna have seat walls and fire pits and some planting beds and stuff like that, then of course the costs ratchet up from there. But there's so many things that affect that with access points and all lawn remediation and all that crap.
It's funny. You're making me laugh really quick. The other day, Liz and I were talking about something. I don't even know what we're talking about. Somehow, and then she goes, "Yeah, like if with the patio here and this, and then if you had a seat wall, it would look really really nice with the stone fireplace and a nice end cap on these things and all this stuff." And I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, what? She goes, I go, how do you even know these words in lingo? She goes, I don't know, actually. She goes, probably the Kid Contractor podcast.
Just the buzzwords, yeah.
Dude, it's wild. Like, she's learning, I'm learning. there's so many guys that are listening in that are lawn maintenance guys. By osmosis, we're learning this stuff. So just a quick nod, dude. Like, the Kid Contractor podcast, you guys are doing really well. I think at the time of this recording, you guys are just hit 200 episodes.
Yep, here real close. Yeah, actually, when this launches, we'll be right at 200.
That's freaking wild.
Yeah, it is crazy. Like time flies, man. Tempus fugit.
Tempus fugit. What does that mean?
That's Latin. Means time flies.
Yeah. Well, sounds good to me.
You're all right.
He's multicultural, multilingual. He is the Kid Contractor, and we've got him here for the next 20 minutes. So
if you can't impress him with knowledge, baffle him with BS.
Yeah, I heard that quote once a while ago, and when you mentioned it, I'm like, I haven't heard that for a decade. And then, of course, who brings it up? My man, Caleb.
Yeah, leave it to me to draw up the old quotes. That's I got an old soul, I guess.
Okay, so $25,000 landscape patios and projects.
Yep.
So what was the idea with the shop? Because right now, actually, real time, guys, as we're recording this podcast episode, you're building a 70 by 120. I think this room's like, ironically enough, like 1% the size, 7 by 12.
We're in the office here at Rancho Auman, the home front here.
What's the measurements on this
shoebox?
Is it 7 by 12? You're building something 100
literally,
times
yeah.
the
This
size.
room is, I think, 6 by 12 maybe. This room is tiny. The office is in the house here, and we run the entire company. And it looks. Look at this place, Brian. It looks like it. It is.
I'm impressed.
It is just crammed full of everything on earth. We got our schedule board in here that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Requests for proposals behind me.
Computers,
some credentials crap on the wall.
I'm about to do a Chase Quick Pay here, quick deposit on a couple of these deposit checks on the wall.
Yeah, really.
I'm trying to build a home, Caleb.
Yeah, I get it, man. You got to do what you got to do.
So you're building a place 100 times the size.
Yeah, somewhere in there, I suppose. Yeah.
I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Like that's
now
freaking wild.
the actual my office itself is 5 times the size of this room, but which is no small thing. But
the corner window, I think you pointed out, by the way, in the shop tour.
Yeah, you treat yourself once in a while.
Caleb's got the C-suite, so the owner will see you now. Come down this hallway to this mahogany desk. Jeremy Swihart called me out on that. He's like, "You're gonna have a what is the
crap, the movie, but essentially like a Scarface. He's like, you're gonna have the big Scarface mahogany desk, aren't you? It's like, my ego might be out of check. I don't know.
What's the old movie, Wall Street, Michael Douglas, and he like has that huge office at the is it Charlie Sheen in the movie?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's taking it back. But Charlie Sheen comes into the office and it's these huge 20-foot tall doors in like the C-suite, and he's like on the phone and all that, stockbroker. But that's your desk over there. Like Caleb's wandering around. Like, I need pavers here. I need ADS that. You see him for four bills.
King of my molehill. Yeah, man.
Yeah. And then people come in there like, I'm just looking for a foreman job, or labor. You're like, I'll be right with you, kid. But
yeah, really. No, it's so the place is maybe a bit extra in a few instances, but still ultimately very practical. And the intentions are. We have, you kind of mentioned your influencer concept of a facility and that's one of the other intentions with the building too, is like we want it to be kind of a hub of Midwest social media. Say Paul Jameson's up in the region and he wants to have, because we're going to be building a podcast studio in there. Joe Rogan, Eat Your Heart Out. We're going to have a really cool studio in here, and say the next time, hopefully the next podcast we do down here, like it'll be in the studio, which will be really cool. But we want to have a space, be it the studio and the conference room, that say there's reps from Xmark or whoever, and they're down in the for whatever reason the Southeast region, they need to have a little meetup. We want to have the facility available for that. We're right at the Hocking Hills, which is a beautiful region of Ohio here, and so we have other intentions for the facility that I can't talk about at the moment, but we have some other things we plan on doing with the place that will make it again more of that, and I look forward to doing some stuff like that. So
give me some stats and numbers on the building. Talk pricing if you got anything that you do want to share. I know there's a lot that you're still dialing it in and you guys are finishing up, but you don't have to say how much it's cost or anything. But if you want to drop any numbers, but give me some stats on the building, the size, the dimensions, the offices, and then break down that back 2/3, because I think that's going to be really unique. I don't know if I've seen anybody with like an in-studio training facility or like sandbox, we'll call it.
So the building is 70 feet wide by 120 feet long. We've got 18-foot ceilings that actually scissor truss, so it's a little higher in the center or whatever. But we got a front porch on there that's really, really cool. I'm looking forward to putting my rocking chair out there and sitting out there like an old man, just yelling at the cars going by. So the front third of the building is going to be offices for for the company and for our production man, or our project manager, and then our AV guy is going to have his own little cubicle there. Also, the building's built so that we have a mezzanine over top of it for future offices, again for future growth, because we want to get into some larger projects, and we're gonna be growing, and who knows where we end up, but we are planning this for future growth. And another reason too, we didn't build here at the home front, which I don't have enough flat land for it anyways. And even if I did enough flat acreage, because I'm on a hill here, this is part of a whole nother plan of just estate planning, right? I want to sink all this money. I don't want to build a pole barn, and it's just me. Yeah. But I want to build a shop property, a commercial property separate from the house. So that'll be part of retirement at some point, in 30 or 40 years or whatever it ends up being.
Yep.
Or never. I don't know. I'll work there till I die, just horsing around. Who knows?
Or give it to the kids.
Yeah. Like whatever the case is. But like we want that piece of property separate. So for liability reasons, and just again for future investment of like, we're going to dump all this money in this place and build equity in it and all that stuff. So we sell it or transition it to ownership, whatever the heck we end up doing. So that's part of the philosophy there of why we're separating the two things. And we want to buy other commercial properties at some point here too. So that's kind of, part of the long-term portfolio plan there of the empire, I guess. So that being said, so the front third are offices, and then the central third-ish is going to be Auman Landscape day-to-day operations, and that is like 45 feet wide, I think, by 70. And so plenty of room to pull a truck in there, work on equipment, welders, great big tool, benches and workbenches. Places we can bring our poly sand inside, although I could see us building like a lean-to shed outside to put polymer sand, our paver joint sand. Products that obviously can't be out in the weather, some basic stuff like that. But mainly just and we were talking about this earlier, Brian, just a place to not have to change oil on my back in the gravel in December.
Dude, that's building a dream right there. Like, if you really distilled it down.
I've done that for 15 years and really my whole life.
Yeah.
I am so excited to actually wrench on a machine indoors in the warmth and dryness.
Somebody's like, amen right now at the radio.
Can I get a hallelujah and an amen?
That's solid.
And you don't have to build a big building to do that. It can. whatever, you want to build and dream to build and do, like, totally do it. You can do it. Just, you just, again, that's at 20 years, because it's so easy to look on the internet and see people doing this. You're like, and I fall victim to this too. I see my peers doing incredible hardscape projects with awesome shops, or like, just, I'm like, God, man, we suck. Like, what are we doing wrong? Or why aren't we doing these projects? And I fall victim to that crap too. And like, I got to keep in mind of like, we're doing our own thing, and we're doing good things in our own right. And yeah, we suck at some stuff, and we need to improve some things and all that. But I want to make sure that if people see our shop and our building of like, dude, it's been 20 years in contracting to build a really cool building. And I mean that with all humility. And I say that with all humility because, again, this wasn't a reality even probably 5 years ago, frankly, right? So like, but it's what we were always working towards is the big thing. That was always the overarching goal of like, build a good company with good people and build an awesome shop at some point to help make for our employees a better place to work and even more respectable place to work. Like, we have a really good reputation as far as quality work, but now we have a facility. It's like, oh wow, these guys are legit. Yeah. And that's part of it too.
I want to mention something that you said on a podcast recently, because I listen to your guys' show every day. I'm out mowing grass and, slinging mulch, just like all you guys listening in. And you said something really interesting. Like, you wanted to make sure, how did you articulate it? You can correct me if I'm wrong, but you said something like, we want to give a place like that our team would be proud of as well. Yeah. Like they can work out of, and they can have their own storage spots, lockers, maybe an office. Because you said right now you guys are working out of a storage locker. Mm-hmm. Does it sound familiar to anybody?
Yeah, right.
Probably all of us at some point.
I've been there for 15 years, so yeah.
Yeah, so when you were talking about that, I'm like, man, like I was thinking about my company. I'm always learning. I don't have it all figured out, and I'm thinking to myself like,
nobody does, Brian.
No, of course not, right? But but you go on Instagram and it seems like everybody does.
Yeah, it's easy to fall victim.
There's that highlight reel, right? And I'm thinking to myself, it was such a good point that you brought up, because I'm thinking, I was talking to Rob and then one or two other guys that like kind of float around that we have working, and sometimes part-time. No, they come, they go, and then other people. We're hiring another guy, Dominic, right now, and I'm thinking to myself, man, it'd be cool to like just have a shop, to have a home base for these guys. Like, I don't mind working out of storage lockers, but do they feel like they work at a professional company, a professional outfit? Do they have a locker? Do they have a little microwave where they can make the little heated lunch? And it. Do you need that to grow a successful company? No, you guys are doing $1 million of revenue out of a storage locker. However, would it be nice and be the full package? Yes. And so that's always something where the point you were trying to make, I think, at least how I was taking it, was like, you want to build a professional company and you want to build this cool home base and treat your company serious. And like, your employees will just respect and appreciate it that much more when you have this like real company, this real job, this real career. And I'm always thinking to myself, like, does Rob guarantee is Rob solid? Always, like, that's always the question with your guys. Are they going to call in on Monday and put in their 2 weeks? You never know, right?
Yeah, these days especially.
Everybody's got options, right? And so I'm thinking to myself, like, Rob's like he's great, he's doing a good job, but I want to provide a future for him, whether it's job growth or feeling proud of where he's working. And I told Liz, I'm like, not that a shop is like the silver bullet, although you guys say it is all the time.
Yeah, we joke. Britt and I routinely joke about, when we have the shop, we'll have the schedule board that all the guys. We just keep saying all these things are going to fix all our inadequacies at the moment, and we compare it to the second coming of Christ, or maybe the whatever, because just like there's so many, and it is tough because we're so. And we have such good guys, too, that have been with us for so long. They just inherently know our systems, which is also a weakness, by the way. At the same time, it's a strength and a weakness.
Yep.
But there are going to be things when we're all operating out of one central location, and everybody can have team meetings a lot easier, and we can have just schedule boards up and more. It's just, I'm here in the office at my house. Our shop we're at now is 2 or 3 miles down the road.
Yep.
And the new shop's actually the same distance-ish. Well, it's actually double the distance, but whatever. But it's still really close, but we're all going to be unified.
Yes.
And it's going to be so much easier, I think. I think there will be some changes we know changes that are going to happen for the positive. I think there's a ton of known unknowns that are going to be just like, oh, this is so much better. The guys are going to be more accountable, because I don't see them come in at the end of the day a lot of times, so we can't have it's hard to get an end-of-day powwow out of them. Like, hey, what do we need tomorrow? As much as we're trying to make sure we're getting end-of-day communications, but we get tied up with something, and then we're like
4:30. You get your element reminder.
That's right. The 4 o'clock. We call it 404 report.
See,
the 4 o'clock 4. Yeah,
I listen to the show. To the show.
But still, even guys don't always get that in either, and so it's like, and you're busy and you forget to hound them about it, and so it's like next morning, it's like, oh hey, we need we forgot we're out of glue, and it's like. gosh darn it. We could have, if you'd have texted me this last night, we could have not been caught with our pants down this morning.
What do you think the biggest thing that we'll provide at the shop? Like, to sum it up, I think a second ago, you were just kind of alluding to culture.
Yeah.
Because guys there's camaraderie there. There's, hey man, go get this off the rack or off the shelf. Or, like it's home based. Like everybody knows where stuff is. Right now, they're like, is that at Caleb's shed? No, he took it because he had to go do the shop. Or no, he took it from the shop. It's at their house because he was doing construction on the weekend on the roof or whatever.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think that's going to solve the problems the most?
Dude, inventory is going to be one of the biggest things for us of just consumables of, hey, we've got open, easy to see shelves of how much glue is there and how much poly sand we have on hand and pallets of concrete mix if we need it and mortar. Dude, the list goes on. And we'll have something cool like when you're on. And by the way, if you folks haven't watched Andy Mulder's Psychopath shop tour, that dude is an animal when it comes to organization.
It's like How to Catch a Killer, dude. He's a serial killer, bro.
There might be 40 bodies in his basement. I don't know. But Andy is an animal when it comes to stuff. And I love Andy. This is all said with love.
It's just so cerebral.
Dude, he is that's all he thinks about is how to organize things and make things more organized and efficient. Mm-hmm. And that shop tour was great. I watched that video and it's like his thing with no legs of tables on the floor. So everything hangs off the wall. So you can sweep right underneath. I mean, just so many little things. That was a great video. So watch it if you haven't watched it. It's a great shop tour. Where was I going with that, Brian?
So like
efficiencies and things to pick
shelving,
up. Yeah, so like just being able to track inventory and not be like, oh, hey, we're out of glue. Oh, but one of the things like Andy does, or no, Jeremy Swihart does this, and I think
Nickens.
Sutton does this, and Nickens does this, where they have a
UPC
service. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a service that comes and checks inventory on just little consumable things from pipe fittings to hose clamps and
does Josh have
Band-Aids?
Josh has Site One.
Josh has Site One doing it.
The Nickens has, I forget in the video, but he mentions a company. I think they're like a regional company. Mm-hmm. And then Josh, is it Josh with J Squared? Jeremy, yeah. He's got another company that comes to his place.
Right, yeah.
I still need to catch up with Jeremy and do something. That'd be pretty dope.
Jeremy runs an amazing, his shop.
I don't want to bug the guy.
Jeremy's a brilliant.
I want to see like his office with all the money counting machines.
Yeah, right.
That'd be pretty cool.
Him and Andy both. That's why I give them a hard time about. That's why I have a hard time getting more money out of landscape projects. So they've taken it all out of the.
There's a vacuum cleaner just sucking the market dry regionally. Well, no.
Those guys are killing it, and they deserve it because they do impeccable work.
They're intentional. Well, not only that, but Andy Mulder's got all those shipping containers, sea containers out front. I'm half convinced that some of them are just filled with gold coins and cash.
And that's probably no joke. Andy's killing it, man. And again, rightfully so. Those guys are putting out top-notch product with top-notch service and accountability, and that's like what you strive. I mean, what I think you should be striving to do is like put out top-notch product or service and top-notch accountability, right? Of you're someone that. Okay, Mrs. Herfenerbler, I'm sorry we missed the sidewalk grass. We'll turn the truck around. We'll be right there. And I'm saying that dreadfully, right? But I mean, we say that with a smile and a positive attitude, and we provide like exemplary service. And that kind of stuff with good pricing is what takes you to the next level, right?
Well, I mean that, and it's just I'm thinking out loud, like what problems is this thing going to solve? And that'd be a whole good podcast. You can just write down notes of all the things you guys think this will solve and why.
That is good, Brian.
Because I'd love to know.
I'm writing that down actually.
Steal the idea.
I'm gonna have to call it Brian's episode.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but it's it'd be a fun one because I'm thinking to myself. Personal example, right? You're talking about like things being efficient or at where they need to be. And so we have 3 storage lockers right now. And in one of them, I have like a little workbench with grinding out blades and all this mess. But dude, like long story short, we've got the Toro Multiforce, the Laser Z, the X Mark Vertex, and the Billy Goat stand-on leaf blower. I got 4 machines and then my 4-wheeler. So I've got 5 machines basically that I can only fit kind of like 2 in a locker. I have 1 in one locker, 1 in the other locker, and 1 always in the trailer. The trailer counts as a locker.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like,
gotcha.
So if we want to put on the bagger, I have to like take it out of one locker.
Yeah, it's murder.
I have to move one mower into the other thing. Like if we need to take, dude, it's just so stupid. Like in front of the aerator and my 4-wheeler is my huge, double stacked shelf, where I built this like little storage system, like pallet racking, if you will. Mm-hmm. But just to get in there, I have to take the aerator out. The aerator battery is always dead because we use it twice a year. And it's an older machine since 2016. So it's like I got to jump that to then back it out, then to get to some stupid stuff off the shelf to get my Tractus tires off. And I'm just like, this is so stupid. And Rob and I are playing musical chairs for 30 minutes sometimes in the morning.
Yep.
And two things. One, I'm like, hey, dude, I'll see you at the shop at 7:30 so we can get there a half hour early so it doesn't cut into craft time. Because 8 o'clock, it's wheels up. We're mowing grass with all the noise ordinances for us. We can't start until 8. But at the same point, I'm thinking to myself, like, if we just didn't have this labyrinth of crap we have to shovel around and shift around, the efficiency, one, just costs us time and money and labor, but then number two, we're not doing craft time.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, if I'm fretting, mowing at, $74 a labor hour, and you guys are laying brick and stone and all this for $100, $200 a labor hour, it just 2, 3, 4, 5 guys, like you joke about like the labor efficiency will save your mortgage. I'm convinced of that.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So, and that's just one example.
One bit of waste in the company that would make a tremendous. I mean, that covers your some portion of your overhead. Be it a phone bill or whatever.
Fraud, waste, and abuse.
Yeah, there you go. Right, and that was a huge epiphany I had even years ago. I mean, probably pushing 10 years ago, but. We would load and unload trucks every day.
Oh, right.
And like shovels and rakes and compactors and you name it off a truck. And I got to running numbers on it finally. Like we have two guys do that twice a day, 10 minutes a day. So essentially half an hour. Two guys, 20 minutes now. Let's call it a half hour.
Right.
An hour a day I'm paying a guy. So that's at the time 10 or $15 an hour 10 years ago or whatever it was. And I extrapolated that out once a day. All month, and it was hundreds of dollars a month. And I'm like, this is cuckoo. We've got to stop this. And so we started to try to figure out ways to leave stuff on trucks and it not get stolen or, whatever. And it's like all of a sudden it was like, we've got $400 extra a month. Like, what could that be put toward? Better facility with better rent, more rent, but more efficiency. And we got an extra man hour a day. And that's just one thing that we were just totally wasteful on.
And then you invest that money into machinery or people.
Yeah.
And then you can't let that compound for 7 years. Mm-hmm. And you're buying a $200,000, whatever machine that paid for itself because you just stopped unloading and unloading.
Yeah, that $400 a month buys a mini skid steer loader or whatever. And it's like, that's 2 extra employees now.
Did you ever hear it's so true. Like we always talk about in business, it's not the 2x4 across the head will take you out, right? But it's the death by 1,000 paper cuts. And I scream this on every podcast because I'm noticing it for us too. And I'm just like, man, if we could just, and so I get so worked up and fired up about it because I'll get home. Liz is like, how's your day? And I'm like, I'm just so sick and tired of being claustrophobic.
Shuffling around equipment.
And I'm like, I can't, I tell Liz all the time, I'm like, I can't live like this anymore. And she's like, well, what are you going to do? What's the alternative? I'm like, I don't know, rob a bank. Because maybe you guys listening and you're like, Fullerton's crazy, but it's the truth, right?
Yeah.
I want to go back to something really quick you just said there about the inventory and all this other stuff. So, and that $400 of loading and unloading, because I had a utility trailer, a little 6.5 by 14, and every night I had to, or anytime rain was coming through. This was way back before Equipment Defender and you could lock your crap up, right? So I had little racks from Lowe's, but I had to take my trimmers off, put them in the shed, take the leaf blower, put it in the shed, take the mower.
It makes me cringe just thinking about it. And we did that for years, and I get it.
I did it for a decade.
Yeah.
And so when you can start evaluating your business and working towards making these efficiencies happen, like people are like, well, I need to mow more lawns and sling more mulch. I'm like, sometimes it's maybe not fraud and waste, but it's the abuse, but it's maybe the waste that can just make you more profitable and instantly put that to your bottom line. You one other quick thing on this. You probably heard this once, but it was worth mentioning, and maybe you guys haven't heard this one before, but there was some I forget the whole story, and Caleb, maybe you've heard this one before, but it was like an office building, and they were trying to fix a bunch of stuff and figure out where they were just hemorrhaging money or they're just trying to be more efficient. And whatever the story was, they went to all the trash cans in the office, right? And they looked at all the paper clips, maybe the pens that weren't totally used, all the rubber bands that weren't totally used, all the, the staple sheet that's 6 inches long, but you throw it away after there's an inch left because it just jams up the stapler. And so for one day they went around and picked up all the trash out of the trash buckets of things that weren't totally used, right? All this waste. And there was I don't know, let's say it's a 200 person company in this big ass office, but there's $1,500 or $2,000 of just supplies laying around in the trash receptacle, times that by 365 days a year. And they're like, well, simple math, there's $1.3 million of waste in this office.
Yeah.
And you're just like, that's impossible. All I did was throw an inch sleeve of staples. But that's the kind of stuff that I'm always thinking. Now, I'm not trying to what do they say? Trip over dollars to pick up pennies.
Right.
So there's you can kind of go the other way on this whole conversation. But it still proves the point. Every time I need to grab something out of that middle storage locker, Caleb, back at home for myself, and I got to move this aerator out and jump it with a no-code charger, I'm just I'm just going to buy like the whole lot if this is how it's going to be, just the whole row. I'm just getting so frustrated. But so anyway, which way? Super excited about that'd be a really good podcast.
I seriously am going to do that.
Title it Fraud, Waste, and Abuse, so that way I know when it comes up.
No, that's it. No, that's Brian.
One other thing too, I was going to ask, and you said this earlier, like never say never, right? But having a retail front, that would. I'm not telling you guys what to do at all, obviously, but if you brought customers in, my gosh, it'd be so easy to like. Think about it, if you had like a lighting wall for like upselling lighting or something, or have you been to Greg Whitsock's Aquascape place?
Yeah, it's incredible.
That whole front is just a showroom floor to sell crap.
Right.
And I'm just thinking to myself, like, there's koi fish and feeding stuff and the pH balancing crap.
Yeah.
You guys could do all that.
Yeah, it's something we didn't talk about in the YouTube video for the shop tour is we will have a display area down to the west of the leach field or the septic field down there.
Okay.
So it will be, again, that'll be for theoretically invite only clients of like, hey, if you're not sure how this thing feels or looks, like we're going to build a really well designed patio that still feels homey like yours, but it's going to have different elements in it so we can help sell and get the feel of like what your project's going to look like when we're done
all the
with
samples and stuff.
Yeah, so and I won't necessarily, because we're trying to actually we're trying to actually limit options to clients.
Yeah, right.
We just want to have structures as options. So with a product line that's not too far reaching, because that's another point of waste in the company. If we get to where, because we used to try to offer everything to everyone,
right,
and we would end up every job we'd have to order 10% overage or more for the project. So we end up with this boneyard of just thousands of dollars of little bits of pavers left over that we can't ever use again because of a special order or whatever. Now, granted, you price that into the job and all that, but still, it's like we started limiting options because clients ultimately don't want actually that many options.
Right.
They want like something's going to look nice and well thought out and all that. But yeah, so so we will have a display area like that, just as like kind of like maybe as part of our screening process for clients, like, hey, come to us first maybe and come check us out, or just to kind of hype it up a little bit, like, hey, this is what we're going to build at your place, like these steps with this type of fire pit and all that. But the goal is to not necessarily make it look so much like a Site One showroom. That's not our goal.
Too much.
So but we want to convey the feeling of what a nice outdoor living space is going to be. So we definitely will. Yeah. And Greg's place, when I was up there a couple years ago at least, I drew a lot of inspiration from his place for what we want to do with like employee amenities with he's got that indoor soccer field in there, whatever, which is insane. It's nuts. We're not doing that, but like the part of the mezzanine, like Bo volunteered to bring his pool table that it's sitting in his parents' basement. He doesn't even play it or use it, but he volunteered to bring it's a slate pool table. It's nice. Yeah. And like we're gonna put that sucker up on the mezzanine. Like I want to make a really cool.
You could have a gym up there if you wanted.
Yeah, I do plan on actually putting some gym mats up there and a few simple workout things for myself, especially. Really is where I'm going with that. But anybody else that wants to do it is more than welcome to.
You get a hot tub and a cold plunge.
I would love to do all of that stuff, and I'm not beyond doing all of that.
It's just dollar signs, right?
I said that one that part may get phased in, but I think
that's the trend right now with the cold plunge.
I hope that's not actually. I think all that stuff is one of those things where they realize like actually that wasn't as good for you as we thought it was.
I don't know. Greg Whitsock swears by it. He's like, you want to go to the hot tub? I'm like, sure. He's like, you want to go to the cold plunge? No, it's right next to it. I'm like, no.
Yeah, that cold plunge stuff is. I hate
100
being cold.
107 degrees down to like 35 or whatever it is, and then he's like, I'll sleep like a baby. I'm like,
yeah, I bet 'cause your body's like. I think we're dying on the Titanic. Like there's no way that's good for your body. That kind of shock. I don't know how it is. They say now I can see a slow immersion into it where your body like. I heard a thing about a guy that was in a horrible jet fighter crash, and because his body was just torn all up, and he landed in these super cold waters. Oh. It's the one thing that kept him alive because his body like it does something to your body where your body like kind of like
just keeps the vital organs alive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
It's like I could see that, but going from like 107 down to 35, there's no way that kind of shock is good for your body. I don't know how that is, but what the heck do I know either? What do I know?
I don't like the cold, so I'm out.
I'm out. But I definitely I wouldn't be above making employee amenities like that. But like Greg's place is incredible up there.
Yeah.
And like I said, watching a shop tour on your channel here of like just gleaning ideas and trying, and we have tried to be really good about that with the tour. And we've got with our own shop. And we've got friends that have built houses, and like you're about to build a house, and so Britt and I are just a sponge when we're hearing people, especially when they're like, man, if we had a do-over, we would have done this. And
Yes.
so we're trying to apply that as best as we can financially afford. Of like, that's why we put radiant flooring in the office section, radiant heating in the floor of the office section, of like, why the financial bullet of it sucked to buy. Like, we can't ever go back and do that. And we're trying to listen to what other folks said of like
Just
the
do
same
it.
thing of like, man, the money, we didn't have the money at the time, but I wish we'd just dug it up out of somewhere and just done it, because now we built our dream house, but we
Yes.
don't have this.
Yes.
And so we're trying to do that. And so maybe we put in less quality windows, let's say, that we can upgrade later,
Right.
and put in the stuff we can never go backwards on. So,
So that's super smart. I mean, like
I'm telling myself that. Now, if we go broke again, well, that wasn't so smart after all.
I said the same thing. I'm like, if I go broke, build my home, I'm gonna just have you buy it from the bank and then lease it back to me. You know what I'm saying? I'll make it worth it. Because you could do that side to fault as well. You
Yeah,
know?
without a doubt.
That's what cost Liz and I basically an extra year, because the building costs, materials. Like, we were gonna build. For one example was the master bathroom. Our builder was like, hey, for $6,000 more, you can make a whole steam room out of the shower. And I'm like, that's stupid. You don't need that. And then go figure. I texted Greg this, actually, Greg Whitstock. He's got a built-in steam shower at his place. So I was up there one time and I'm like, ooh, this is nice. So I come home, I tell Liz, hey, don't kill me. But
Now, was Greg in the steam shower with you at the same time?
actually, we both were, yes.
Yeah.
So 11 o'clock.
Sounds like it.
He's got the little eucalyptus spray bottle, and he's just like,
I can see this happening.
and dude, you can't see anything in there, bro. And as long as I didn't have like a big palm hand over my shoulder, we were good to go.
Would you really say no, though?
I mean, I don't know. I'd say yes just to get a check. You know what I'm saying? Like, he sexually harassed me. You know, but,
yeah, there you go. Yeah.
he touched me.
Now you got him.
If Elon Musk can get $250,000 payout for some stewardess, on the flight,
really,
just to make that hush money go away, then I'm just saying, I got expenses, Caleb. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. No shame. No hate here. No shade.
I keep telling Liz, I'm like, would you for X amount of money? She's like, no, that's disgusting. And I'm like, team player.
Yeah, really.
I'm like,
I thought we were trying to get somewhere here.
I said, that's an Escalade right there, So if you listen to the show, you're like, where is this going? But
yeah, I don't know.
look, we're all trying to make it happen, folks. But any which way, so to go back to the story though, it was $6,000 for the steam shower. And so I told Liz, I'm like, hey, we can only do it once. Because I asked my builder, I'm like, can we put this in after? He goes, it's going to cost you 2-3x. And so when you're proposed with that, hey, it would cost you 3 times as much later. It would be 3 times as much later. You do that 4 or 5 times, and that's another $50,000 to $100,000.
Right, yeah.
So I agree with what you guys are saying about on the shop build. You guys are doing it right. By the way, I love what you said there. That was the point of this whole shop tour series, was let's go into here. Look, I'm doing the best that I've got access to. I'm sure there's other beautiful shops and barns and setups and all the different garages you guys have. If so, like, shoot me a DM. Let me know, because we're going to do this again, I'm sure, maybe next spring or maybe in a fall tour. So if you have a great winter setup or a great shop tour setup, let me know. But if you guys, that's the point of the whole YouTube video and series and playlist. Go to YouTube and take the best elements out of what is important to you. And then when you decide to build your house or your shop or your barn or equipment to buy, and people are like, well, here's the base model, but if you get this, and this, it was worth it. And so that's what we want to help you guys do, is avoid these mistakes that if you just sprung a little bit more at the beginning, it might have been worth it, or do this, not that,
Yeah.
So you guys have a great example of it with your shop tour on YouTube that we just dropped tonight. So if you guys are just, listening to this and when you guys are mowing grass and working, when you get home later tonight, come on by, check out the video that Caleb and Brittany did. It was really, really good. And then check out the rest of the playlist. If you want organization and efficiency, Andy Mulder. If you want to run $1 million company out with some fertilizer rigs and different racking and whatnot, check out Jeremy Connect. If you are a mechanic nut, go check out Alex Nickens. If you're a fitness nut, you got to check out Mitchell Gordy's. They had a whole fitness gym there.
I saw that.
Absolutely ridiculous. Like a mini Lifetime Fitness in there. Literally, him and his girlfriend Hannah. Absolutely incredible. I'm like, I was adding up the weight, like $1 or $2 per pound for steel and weights, and I'm telling Liz, I'm like, bro, there's $50,000 in weights in there. And she's like, for real? I go, dude, Carry the 2, Times X, Life Fitness machines. I'm like, yeah, I looked them up. I was like, Liz, this is like $50,000 in here. She's like, oh my God. I'm like, we were so poor. But any which way, not trying to compare, but I was like, Liz, we need to start figuring this thing out. So, but if you guys haven't checked out the whole playlist, that's what I would encourage you guys to do, because it's really, really cool. And again, thank you all to the show sponsors for making this happen. But, Kale, we'll probably button this up right here. I think we're going to go to do dinner. The ladies out there, hopefully they're not tied up and stuffed in a closet right now from all the kids. So where can people find her? Any parting thoughts as well? And we'll button this thing up.
Well, one thing too on the video, on our video, if you're watching here on Brian's channel or whatever, I am not opposed if you've got thoughts of something like, hey, this shelf racking is cool, or use, hey, this layout. We did that at our shop and we freaking hate it. Don't do what you're saying you're going to do, Auman.
Yeah.
Leave a comment. I'll be watching the video or whatever, or drop us a line, whatever. But yeah, I am all ears to like, hey, this heater style, you need to consider this because we use this and it's awesome, or vice versa. So yeah, comment or whatever. That would be, because I'll be watching that, trying to figure out. We're trying to do this thing as right as we can, as the first within time. Reason. Yeah. So yeah, definitely mention that there. But yeah, hey, folks, thanks for giving it a listen and checking us out here. Auman Landscape on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all that stuff, and really appreciate you checking us out here. And
200th episode podcast.
Kid Contractor Podcast.
How's things going with that, by the way?
It's work, as just putting out it's I respect anybody that's putting out that much content. You and Paul and gosh, everybody else is putting out a ton of content on podcasts. I love podcasting. I really enjoy it. So it's something I didn't think I'd enjoy as much as I do. Yeah. Which is kind of one of those funny things how it happens. You
guys are doing great. I love all the different podcast episodes you guys are putting out, and like I always talk about on my show, I'm always listening to the Green Street podcast, Key Contractor podcast, and then a bunch of others that you guys know and love as well. So keep it going, man. We're super excited for you guys. 200 episodes, that's like I said, no easy feat. Just to keep it consistent and regular, it does take a lot of effort and energy. So keep it going, brother.
Thank you, Brian.
Big fan of you guys, big fan of the show, and big fan of the barn. I told Liz we were walking
back at you.
Well, I was like, hey, you want to build something like that? Liz goes, absolutely not. I go, me neither. I do not. I'm like, it looks so cool, but it'd be nice to just have friends that own something like that.
Yeah, right.
And then we can come visit and use it, and then.
Well, we are, and one thing too is we are GCing a lot of we're GCing the build. So I'm doing a ton, and fortunately because of our background and skill sets, we can do all the site work, we can do all the drainage. We did all the base. We hired out the shell build, let's say, which is it's 2022. The shell was still $165,000, I think, essentially with materials and everything and labor. So it's so we're putting as much sweat equity into it as we possibly can, and then having our own team, in to build stuff. And ultimately, the goal was to actually have the shell up in October, November, and then have my own guys come in. We do all the framing and just all the labor work over the winter, right? Keep our guys employed, save a bunch of money, all that. Well, here it is, June. Essentially, yeah, and we're full blown build mode. So you want to hear God laugh, tell them your plans. Well, here you are, and so it's and to that note, again, all glory to God on this thing, because without blessings from Him for this stuff, it wouldn't happen. So that's a big deal to us, at least, And so, yeah, thanks for checking things out, and just folks, just work hard, but be diligent with that hard work, and set some goals and then start knocking away at them.
I love it. All right, man. Well, that's what we'll button it up. We'll kick it back over to Marty here, Mr. Producer. But again, if you guys want to follow Caleb, check them out on YouTube. They'll have their own videos that they've already been documenting, and then the subsequent YouTube video that we just had tonight on our channel, Brian's Lawn Maintenance. Go over there, give it a big subscribe and like. Leave us a comment, maybe something that you guys want to weigh in on or comment on, what do you like or what do you not like? Let us know. Give us some feedback. We super appreciate that. But we'll kick it back over to Marty, Mr. Producer, down in the ATL. Guys, thanks again, and we look forward to catching up with you guys here on the next one.
We want to thank one of our presenting sponsors of the Shop Tour series. You know them, you love them, Yard Book. Whether you're just getting into business for yourself or you've been growing your company and need to get more organized, Yard Book is for you. A full-service CRM software to help you manage and track jobs, tasks, routes, and your billing all in one convenient web-based platform. And the best part? It's totally free. Take advantage of the CRM Brian uses to grow his business and take your company to new heights. Utilize their popular features like credit card on file charging, email estimate approval, and the new selling suite, fertilizer tracking, and so much more. Tens of thousands of lawn entrepreneurs just like you trust and rely on Yardbook to help them grow their company. So why not you? Sign up today at yardbook.com, and don't forget to mention that Brian sent you. Looking to maximize your production in the field? Ballard Products has over 300 products that can help you get the most out of your efforts every day. Ballard Products. Whether you are looking to get a better cut, keep your gear on your machine, keep your expensive equipment clean and safe, or just get the most out of your machines, Ballard has you covered. Ballard Products. Make sure to use Brian's 10 to save 10% on our complete line of gear. Jump onto our easy-to-use updated website at ballard-inc.com to get your gear ordered today. Keep grinding. Stay safe. And have a great season. Ballard.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.